So today I'm talking about 7 signs of a one-sided relationship, plus what is healthy relationship behavior. But first, if you're new, my name's Michelle Ferris. I'm a psychotherapist and I love helping people create relationships that work. So the first sign of a one-sided relationship is that you're putting a lot more time and energy into the relationship than they are. And it's starting to dawn on you because it's pretty obvious. And a quick way to assess this is to give it a percentage. How much are you giving versus how much they're giving? Is it 70-30? Is it 80-20? Because that's going to give you a sense of whether or not you're in a relationship that's one-sided or have one-sided love. Because part of what this is you exhausting yourself by putting so much into the relationship because you care so much, but you also wipe yourself out because they're not giving much back to you. So the healthy relationship behavior is you doing less in the relationship and putting some of that energy towards yourself, your own self-care and interests, or other relationships that are more reciprocal, because that's the goal in relationship recovery. The next sign of a one-sided relationship is that you feel like you're chasing them and it's starting to feel yucky. I know I did that early on in my friendships where I was doing all the calling and all the, hey, do you want to get together? Do you want to have some fun? And it started to feel almost like I was giving myself away. And so if you get that sense that you're chasing them and you're trying really hard to get them to spend time with you, that's a real sign of a one-sided relationship. So the healthy behavior is when you notice you want to spend time with them, ask yourself, is there another more productive way you can spend that time? Don't reach out every single time you have that inclination. And that's the hard part of this work, is that we want to decrease that dependency because that's part of the hallmark of a one-sided relationship. Now, if you've ever been in a one-sided relationship, say me too in the comments because this video is going to help. So the next sign of a one-sided relationship is that your feelings don't matter much in the relationship. So you've learned to keep quiet, you've learned to people please and say yes when you really don't want to because you want their love and approval. But you also notice that you're not getting much back in terms of support, in terms of you being able to have conversations about what's important in your life. It's really gotten to the point where you feel like your feelings don't matter. So in a healthy relationship, of course, your feelings do matter. And when you're upset or when you have something difficult going on, the other person cares enough to ask and to talk to you about it and to give you the support you need. So the next sign of a one-sided relationship is that the relationship revolves much more on one person's needs. And this happens a lot in dominant relationships where you might be in a relationship with a narcissist who has to have your attention or can't tolerate you having any needs. That's a really draining relationship to be in, but that's very one-sided because the relationship is much more about helping, fixing, loving, and calming the other person down versus it being mutually beneficial. This could also be in a relationship with an alcoholic who's actively drinking and creating a lot of chaos, and you're trying to fix them and change them and get them sober. Or you might just be in a relationship with someone who has self-centered traits. They're not full-blown narcissistic, but they don't tend to think of your needs and your feelings a lot. So the healthy behavior is, I want you to start asking for support and start talking more about yourself because that is going to help you assess whether or not this relationship is salvageable because you deserve that. If this is resonating with you, say ditto in the comments because I really want to help. Now, the next sign of a one-sided relationship or one-sided love is that you feel like you're losing yourself in the relationship because you're giving so much that you actually don't feel like you have much of a sense of self anymore. You don't really know what you want and need because you're so focused on getting that love and attention from that other person and you're giving so much to maintain the relationship that you really are losing your sense of self. And this really impacts our self-esteem, our ability to trust our own perceptions, and that's something to pay attention to. Now, the healthy behavior is focusing more on creating some separation and letting go a little bit of that relationship so that you can start to befriend yourself again and figure out what you're needing and what you're wanting so that you can start to make yourself happy, not just look to the relationship for your happiness. The next sign you're in a one-sided relationship is that you're relying way too much on them for validation and support. So whenever you're hurting, you rush to them first. And all your emotional eggs are in their basket. Whereas If you spread that out with other friends, families, self-soothing activities, that's going to help you avoid that unhealthy dependency. Another aspect of one-sided relationships is that you might find yourself spending all of your free time with them and seeking them out more than you seek other people out, which makes it hard to shift that one-sided dynamic. So the healthy behavior is you finding ways to validate yourself from within. And that could be affirmations, that could be really working on yourself and joining a support group, doing things that validate you and to start acknowledging what you're doing well. Because the more you internally give yourself that validation, the more you're going to be able to let go of seeking so much of it in that one-sided relationship. Now, the next sign of a one-sided relationship is that you're not able to set boundaries because you don't want to rock the boat. You're really focused on pleasing them, not upsetting them, so you really don't want to ask for anything. So you say yes when you mean no, you overextend yourself, you wipe yourself out, you might really end up having consequences for doing so much for them and never saying no. You might be late at work, you might be late on a project, or you might be not taking good care of yourself because you're not able to say no and set healthy limits in that relationship. So if this makes sense to you, I want you to check out my video on codependency, because one-sided relationships are codependent relationships, and that's your next step for your growth. Thanks so much.